Welcome, guys. This is Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James. This is your Rangers news update. Obviously, we are in the international break, guys. So, obviously, we're cutting back on a number of videos over the international break. Right, look, I've got to say, though, international football, dull, boring, but one very funny moment last night. I have to say, did laugh. Cristiano Ronaldo sent off. That's proper funny seeing that arrogant, narcissistic little prick get sent off. Anyway, look, let's talk obviously about Rangers. Let's talk the latest now. A Rangers legend, a Rangers hero has ripped into Kevin Thelwell and publicly criticised the head of recruitment at Rangers for his recruitment policy for the players he signed. And that man is none other legend, Mr. Graham Souness. Yes, that's right. Graham Souness has absolutely been scathing in his criticism of the club's recruitment policies and the players coming into the club. I mean, let's face it, if there's anyone who knows how to recruit players, it is Mr. Graham Souness, the man who came in and revolutionised the club. A man who brought, Chris Woods, he brought Terry Butcher, he brought the greatest right back ever to play for the club in Gary Stevens, probably between him and Sandy Jardine. Please, no tough bollocks. He brought in some absolute superstars to our team. Trevor Steven, Ray Wilkins, Terry Hurl, some quality players for a golden era. A man who knows what he's talking about when it comes to recruitment. So when Graham talks, we need to listen. And perhaps, reflecting back when Graham Souness wanted Frank Lampard and people wanted Philippe Clement, perhaps we should have listened to Graham Souness instead of going with our own petty hatreds and petty opinions. Given how well Frank is doing at Coventry City. But there we go. Anyway, Graham Souness has been speaking out on Rangers recruitment. This is what he had to say. He said that all boards of directors look to find young players, pay little money for them, coach them up and make them better, and then sell them on for enormous profits. That would appear to be the Rangers business model, but I don't see that happening with the players they've signed. I've got to say, he's right. We have obviously, signed a lot of young, inexperienced players. You look at the players we've brought in this summer, and it is young players. Asgard is young. Obviously, Chimiti is young. We've brought in, obviously, Cameron, who is young. So a lot of very young players. It's interesting that Souness is saying that basically he's looking at those players and he isn't seeing players who he thinks are going to develop, get better and be sold on for a big profit. And look, this is a guy who knows footballers. He knows footballers. And it is worrying and concerning, obviously, that someone like Graham is saying this. He then to say this. Rangers are in a difficult place right now. I went on record when the 49ers enterprise got the majority shareholding that I thought that can only be good news because they've been involved at Leeds and can just transfer the knowledge and avoid the mistakes they made there. But they've been disappointing and their recruitment has been disappointing. Look, I think Graham's right. I think if you look at the recruitment that's been made over the summer that Kevin Thelwell has made, we've gone through the recruitment on a number of occasions. The recruitment has been poor. I think it has been very, very poor. You look at Rangers summer business, and you'd struggle to find a single player who you would say has been a success. Has been a constant success, shall we say. I mean, Chimiti doesn't look like a footballer. He looks like a pub player. Ant-Man looks dreadful. Asgard is too slow. Miovski has struggled. Fernandez has disappeared. Gassama's hit and miss. Rothwell looks like a tramp that smokes 20 a day. Cameron we haven't seen. Mikey Moore's a lone player, is doing better, I suppose, in recent weeks. Nasser Giga looks a bomb scare. Max Aarons is a bomb scare. Cornelius is okay. Magoma's a kid still learning the game. The policy, the players that Rangers have brought in this summer have not added to, improved, or made a not great squad any better, really. So, Graham's right. The recruitment has been exceptionally disappointing. And I think, if I'm being honest with you, as someone who watches NFL, as someone who understands the NFL, has been watching the NFL for an awful long time, since 1985, and looking at the 49ers that came, the 49ers franchises that won Super Bowls, you look at those teams there that they built, they had a reputation of success, of being able to build success. You've got to look at it now and say that this group aren't showing that they are very successful. Now, you've got to kind of wonder what influence Parag Marathe is having. I think there's a lot of suspicions that Marathe is obviously concentrating on Leeds and very much leaving Rangers to Kavanagh and Stewart. Although, let's face it, Leeds are not having the best of seasons either. So, yeah, I think he's right. It has been disappointing so far. Yes, they have put money up. But I think what is the criticism of them is the fact that they have stood by two people who are failing galactically to do their job. Two people who are grossly incompetent in Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell. Two men who are not fit to be anywhere near our football club. Now, Souness went on to talk this. He says, for me, the most important thing at any football club is not having the best coach. It's about having the best players. It seems to be a correlation or a hell of a coincidence that all the best coaches have the best players. It doesn't happen by accident. If you've got a great bunch of players, you're not going. If you've not got a great bunch of players, you're not going to do very well, even if you're a top coach. Which is something I think we've all said. We've all said that. I think Jurgen Klopp, Arne Slot, Mikel Arteta, Pep Guardiola couldn't get a tune out of this absolutely useless bunch that we have at the moment at this football club. And I think, you'd struggle from the starting 11 to find any player who would get into an English Championship team, let alone an English Premier League team. Jack Butland probably been the exception this season. I mean, you go through Rangers starting 11 from the last game that we played, and you really genuinely would struggle to find anyone who would make make a championship starting 11. You genuinely would. You go back to that game, say for instance, the game that we've just beaten Dundee in, and yes, I know we won 3-0, but okay, Butland's the exception. Magoma is a bench player at Brentford. James Tavernier is at best an English League One player. I think a lower half English League One player. The guy wouldn't make any championship team. Cornelius, I suppose, might make a championship team. Giga wouldn't make a championship team. Suter would be on the bench. Gassama, a possible, has played for Sheffield Wednesday, I suppose. Raskan, probably, maybe. Dimonde, no. Barron, no. Miovski, no. Chimiti, no. There's a lot of players in there that would not even make it the starting 11 in an English Championship team, let alone play for Rangers. It's pretty shocking, and Graham is right, in what he has to say. And Graham went on to talk about obviously the fact that both Rangers and Celtic don't have the best of squads at this moment in time, and I think that's right. We are suffering, I think, in Scottish football anyway from the fact that it doesn't really attract top players anymore because of the market, because of the financial situation, because of the fact that south of the border we have the English Premier League and the English Championship, which have oodles more money than we do. But Souness is right to criticise the recruitment, and it's something that does need to be sorted out. Now, Souness did go on to trust Kevin Thelwell in January. And I think he's right. Why would you trust someone who's failed so spectacularly to get this right? Now, the worrying thing for me is that this kind of the Thelwellization of our club has kind of taken hold now. In the same way that a cancer spreads through a human and kills a human, the Thelwellization is spreading through our club and killing it off like some sort of untreatable cancer. You've got his son involved, you've got Purdy, you've got obviously this academy director coming in January who's another Thelwell man. It does seem to me that there is an absolute Thelwellization of our football club, which is not a good thing. A man who is genuinely never done a good job anywhere he's been, and we've let him loose with the keys to the club. I think it's irresponsible. This man came in for an awful lot of criticism, and I think if he'd had the money that Thelwell had, I think he would have done a hell of a better job than Kevin Thelwell. The players that he brought in, I think, were on the whole, yes, not brilliant, but definitely better than what Kevin Thelwell did. So I think we all owe an apology to Niels Koppen. And I think we all need to continue as fans to try and force this absolute moron Kevin Thelwell out of our football club. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.